Hello and welcome to the Arts Foundation for Tucson and Southern Arizona 2026 Artist Grant webinar. The Arts Foundation for Tucson and Southern Arizona is a 501c3 nonprofit local arts agency serving Tucson, Pima County, and Southern Arizona. Our mission is to advance artistic expression, civic participation, and equitable economic growth of our diverse community by supporting, promoting, and advocating for arts and culture in our region. We do this through our diverse portfolio of work, serving our community in Tucson, Pima County, and throughout Southern Arizona through public art, through providing grants, through promoting artists via our arts directory and our newsletter, and through special programs like the Open Studio Tours, among many others. Today, we are here to talk about the 2026 Artist Grant. Thank you for your interest. The program aims to support artists and culture bearers who are residing and working in Southern Arizona. We will receive proposals to fund artists. Only individual artists may apply for this program. The grant is funded in part through the generous support of the City of Tucson, the Pima County Community and Workforce Development, Mellon Foundation, the Arizona Commission on the Arts, and the Arizona Community Foundation. And the application for this program is due no later than March 19th, 2026. Please note that incomplete or late applications will not be considered for funding. If you want more details on this program, we encourage you to visit our website, which I will navigate to shortly and show you. I will walk you through our site. Just 1 second. So if you click on the link to our website, you will come to this page, which will have all the details about the program, including who may apply to this program and all the eligibility requirements, the due date, etc. So once you're on our site, you can open our program guidelines, which will have the full information on this program. So the Artist Grant, again, we have information here on who funds this amazing program. You have a table of content for the guidelines with the full application information. And then immediately you come to the guidelines at a glance, which tells you that the program is open to, again, individual artists working throughout City of Tucson, Pima County, and Southern Arizona, including tribal nations residing in Southern Arizona. You may request up to $10,000. The application period has opened and will close March 19th, 2026. Deadline to apply is 11:59 p.m. Arizona time. The funding period for this program, or the period during which you may be doing work and receive funding for the program, is July 1st, 2026 through May 31st, 2027. Your final report will be due roughly a month after the funding period ends on June 30th, 2027. The eligible cost for this program, or the eligible expenses, are the applicant artist's wages. The grant award will directly support the artist fee of the applicant artist, A cost share and matching funds are not required, though clients are expected to provide some form of support for the applicant artist who is doing work on there for them. The funders, once again, thank you to the City of Tucson, the Pima County Department of Community and Workforce Development, the Mellon Foundation, the Arizona Commission on the Arts, and the Arizona Community Foundation. You have here a link to our webpage, and you have here also the page or the link where you go to apply via Submittable. Submittable is a free platform. You may create a free account and apply. We have 2 grant webinars that will be offered. The first is a general grant webinar and info session, which we are holding right now. Today, December 17th, there will be a second iteration of this webinar on January 28th, 2026 in the new year. And we will also offer a financial overview and MOU review session both this afternoon and again on Wednesday, January 28th, 2026. We are happy to answer all of your questions in regards to the finance requirements attached to this program, as well as the information that will be requested from you in the memorandum of understanding that needs to be co-signed by you, the applicant artist, and your client. Eligible projects. So basically for this program, artists may apply and request funding to provide any artistic service. We have examples for you listed in these guidelines. It can be the creation of new artwork. You may be commissioned by your client to create new artwork. You may be providing arts programming for your client or offer workshops. You may facilitate meetings or convenings or anything of that sort. You may offer mentorship. You may provide consultations as well as any other type of artistic service, like exhibitions or participate or work towards producing artistic productions. You'll notice that next to new artwork, there is an asterisk, and there's a note here that says that the production and or creation of new work supported by this grant must include a public presentation of the work. Virtual or in-person premieres are acceptable. And if you have any questions on any of this information, please reach out to the staff listed on this grant program, on the guidelines listed here in this document. So the review criteria of artistic excellence and artistic merit are listed here. There are 3. The first one is capacity. Panelists will be assessing the applicant ability to carry out the proposal and scope of work supported by the award as agreed upon between the applicant and the client that is selected. Also, panelists will be assessing impact or the potential to impact, serve, reach, hire, and or support individuals whose opportunities to experience the arts are limited by factors such as geography, ethnicity, economic status, and or disability. And the third review criteria is alignment, or the potential to strengthen civic participation and community benefit through arts and culture. The narrative questions that we ask you to answer to help panelists assess the review criteria are, you'll see that each one before the question is asked has a review criteria attached to them. So the first question panel that you will answer, panelists will look to suss out your capacity. So the first question is, tell us about you and your artistic practice. So here we're really we're really asking you to not only tell us about yourself and your artistic practice, but also think about your experience in relation to how panelists may assess your ability to carry out the proposal and the scope of work that you are proposing for funding, should you receive the grant award. Question number 2 is impact. So we ask you to tell us about your client, why you chose them, and how they will benefit. Again, please look to that review criteria number 2. So when you're telling us about your client, tell us also if there's anything relevant to how providing services to your client will potentially impact, serve, reach, hire, and or support individuals whose opportunities to experience the arts are limited by factors such as geography, ethnicity, economic status, and or disability. Question number 3 is, tell us about the arts service you are providing to the client, includes schedule and location of agreed upon activities. And again, we ask you to really think about capacity or, once again, your ability to carry out the proposal. So if you are requesting funding, for example, to provide mentorship then to your client, then we ask you to tell us, about what that service will be like. But also when you talk about your schedule, your location, agreed upon activities, tell us about other instances in which, for example, you've offered this type of service or the things that qualify you to provide these artistic services to your client. Question number 4 is capacity. Tell us what qualifies you to provide these services. So we're really, again, trying to get the full details of your proposal, of what qualifies you. These are not gotcha questions. Be as specific as possible, and then please label each question so that panelists are able to navigate your information easily. Question number 5 is, tell us how this service has the potential to strengthen civic participation or benefit a community. And again, this is directly related to alignment. What is the potential to strengthen civic participation and community benefit through arts and culture? And the final question is question number 6. Will services rendered benefit individuals whose opportunities to experience the arts are limited by factors such as geography, ethnicity, economic status, and or disability? If so, tell us how. And that is linked back again to impact. So the materials that you will be asked to prepare are the narrative. So answer to these questions, some work samples of your work. Again, try to select work samples that directly relate to the proposal that you are requesting. If you do, if your artistic practice is quite diverse, let's say you do printmaking, but you also do ceramics, and the proposal is directly related to your work as a ceramicist, then please make sure your work samples center your practice in ceramics rather than in printmaking, unless the application recalls your work in print media. You will also be asked to provide a 1-page resume. Please don't upload a 20-page document. Again, we're asking you to please provide work experience in your resume that directly relates to the proposal. Some of you have many years of work experience. Some of you may be emerging artists. We're trying to make sure that the materials that reach our panelists are succinct and directly related to the proposed work that you are requesting funding for, so that panelists know exactly what to look for and don't have to dig through, a 20 or 15-page resume. They'll have that information readily available within the first page of your document, of your resume. You'll also be asked to provide an artist headshot. This is for internal purposes so that we may identify your application. And then you will also be asked to provide a co-signed memorandum of understanding between you, the applicant artist, and your client. It must be signed by both you and your client so that panelists may assess that indeed an understanding of a scope of work has been reached between you and your client. So it has to be co-signed by both of you. And then you'll be asked to provide a budget document. So the application flow starts by asking questions of you in regards to eligibility. You will then be asked to provide information in an applicant profile section. We come then to a narrative section, followed by a request for attachments and documents. And then a section where we ask disclosures regarding your finances, and finally a disclosure and signature section. Only sections 3, 4, and 5 will be shared with panelists. All other sections remain confidential. So the eligibility, the applicant profile, and the disclosure and signature sections are not viewed by panelists. There are several resources for you. Again, please download these guidelines from our website. You may receive bilingual technical assistance. You can make one-on-one meetings with myself and my colleague, David Gagiola. And we have this webinar today and another series in January. There's a sample memorandum of understanding on our website you can reference. And then if you would like to see what type of work was funded through this program last year, you may click this link, Meet the 2025 ARPA Artist Grantees, and you'll be able to see who received funding for what type of work and who their clients were. And the clients for this program do not have to be doing work within the arts and culture sector. The clients may work across various sectors outside the arts. Helpline, that would be me. You may reach me at grants@artsfoundtucson.org. You may also call my direct phone number, and you can call our office. You can reach me at extension 2. And again, you may also make a one-on-one 20-minute meeting if you need, if you want to schedule a meeting that way to receive support by clicking the bilingual technical assistance link on the guidelines. If you encounter submittable support technical issues, you may send an email to support@submittable.com. Submittable is a third-party platform. We have no administrative power over your accounts, and so you must reach out to Submittable if you're having technical issues with your specific account. Here we come to the Arts Foundation mission and vision, as well as our non-discrimination statement. The Arts Foundation for Tucson and Southern Arizona, as I mentioned, we are a 501c3 nonprofit and funding agency with a mission to advance the artistic expression, civic participation, and equitable economic growth of our diverse communities. Through forward-thinking, accountable leadership, the Arts Foundation works to effect systemic change to foster an accessible, diverse, inclusive, and equitable local arts community. As the designated local arts agency, the Arts Foundation provides arts and cultural development across Southern Arizona for individual working artists, artist collectives, ensembles, and nonprofit organizations through grant programs, professional development opportunities, and public art program management for the city of Tucson. The work of the Arts Foundation is made possible through generous support from the city of Tucson, Pima County, the Arizona Commission on the Arts, the National Endowment for the Arts, the Mellon Foundation, the Arizona Community Foundation, and individual donors. Our service area includes all counties and tribal nations south of the Gila River, including 372 miles along the U.S.-Mexico international border in the south and along the 590-mile stretch of the Gila River, which flows west from the New Mexico border to the Colorado River. The Arts Foundation for Tucson and Southern Arizona, or the Arts Foundation, does not discriminate based on race, ethnicity, color, country of origin, religion, sex, gender, disability, or any other category protected under state or federal law. This non-discrimination statement applies to all activities of the Arts Foundation, including employment opportunities, grant awards, and community engagement opportunities. So page 6 is a pretty important page of the guidelines document. It provides you with a kind of overview of the funding priority for this grant. This program is in its second year of being rolled out. Last year it was known as the 2025 ARPA Artist Grant. It was supported through rescue funding from the federal government and the city of Tucson. This year we are naming it the 2026 Artist Grant, and it will continue to support individual artists living and working in Tucson and Southern Arizona. We developed the program in response to articulated community needs with the working artists in mind. The program is open to individual artists who have identified a client they want to work with. The program is open to eligible applicants located within the Arts Foundation service area, which includes counties and tribal nations that reside between the southern edges of the Gila River to the U.S.-Mexico international border. All complete and eligible applications will be part of a competitive peer panel review process. Again, only individual artists can apply directly through this program. Clients may not apply for funding. The awarded funds will be made directly to the applicant individual artist in exchange for art services provided to the client identified in the proposal. Art services are defined as services informed by the artist's creative practice in any discipline. And here are some examples of the types of art services that artists may request funding for, but these are not restrictive, i.e. you may request funding that for art services that extend beyond the offering of consultations for advising or strategy, for the creation of artwork in any medium, for the design of artwork in any media, i.e. you may be commissioned to design artwork that is not produced within the funding period. You may be providing artistic services in facilitation or mentorship. This can be peer-to-peer mentorship or career development, artistic technique development, portfolio consultations, among others. You may provide other types of tangible artistic services. You may be hired to provide presentations, such as the delivery of arts programming, performances, etc. Or you may be providing training like workshops, art education, or instruction of other kinds. Clients that are eligible to this program can include, but do not have to be limited to, your artist peers, businesses, community groups, community or civic partners, entities or partners outside the arts sector, For example, your client may be a hospital. Your client may be a government agency. It could be an LLC. It may be a nonprofit 501(c)(3) organization. It may be a presenting venue or entity. It may even be a school. And these clients, all of these types of clients, you can see examples of how some artists partnered with these clients to provide artistic services. Again, if you look to, let me scroll back up here. If you look to where is that? Resources, meet the 2025 ARPA Artist Grantees. You'll see a gamut of who those clients were for last year's grantees. Okay, next we come to the timeline for this program. The application period, we are currently receiving applications for this program. Your applications will be due no later than March 19th, 2026 by 11:59 p.m. Please don't wait till the last minute. Inevitably, technical glitches might arise and no late applications will be processed for this program. The review period will take place between March 20th and June 16th of 2026, and award notifications will be sent out via submittable between June 17th and June 30th of 2026. The funding period for this program is July 1st, 2026 through May 31st, 2027, and grantees' final report will be due Wednesday, June 30th, 2027. This is really important. Grantees who do not complete their final reporting requirements will not be eligible to receive future funding from the Arts Foundation until those final reports have been completed. If you have any questions about that, please reach out and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. The award amount for this program is up to $10,000 to provide direct artistic services to community or civic clients. No cash match is required, and all grantees will be certified cross-sector service providers. So once you successfully complete your proposal, your profile will be promoted as a vetted business service provider in our Arts and Culture Directory, which is a concierge service of the Arts Foundation website. The final determination of the award amount will be based on the volume of eligible applications and available funds. While applicants may request up to $10,000, final award may be less than requested. All awarded funds must be expended within the funding period. So, who qualifies for this program? Okay, so again, this program is only open to individual artists who meet all of the following eligibility criteria at the time of application. So, eligibility number one, an individual artist has to be providing services to an eligible client. Applicants must have been practicing as an artist since 2019. You must reside and provide services in counties and regions south of the Gila River. This includes Pima, Santa Cruz, and Cochise counties, and southern portions of Pinal, Yuma, Greenlee, Graham, Maricopa County, and or native sovereign nations of Ak-Chin Indian Community, sovereign nation of the Cocopah, Quechan tribe of the Fort Yuma Indian Reservation, Gila River Indian Community, Pascua Yaqui tribe, Tohono O'odham Nation, San Carlos Apache Nation. Previous grantees must be current in all reporting to the Arts Foundation. Grantees will be required to create a profile for the Arts and Culture Directory to receive payment. Grantees will be required to submit a W-9 IRS form. Applicant will be required to submit a co-sign memorandum of understanding detailing the scope of work agreed upon between the applicant and the client. Grantee will be required to provide an invoice for services rendered to the client. Grantee will be required to provide confirmation signed by client that services were completed. Grantee will be asked to create a free Bill.com account to receive payment. Grantee will be required to complete a risk assessment by submitting a self-certification to ensure the grantee is not disbarred, suspended, nor have any other exclusions or disqualifications. Grantee will be required to disclose in writing any potential conflicts of interest that may be present when conducting funded activities. Grantee will be required to submit a final report to the Arts Foundation within 30 days of project completion or 30 days after the end of the funding period. The final report will include documenting expenses and providing brief description of services rendered. And finally, grantee will be required to comply with all national policies, which are included in this document in Appendix B. Now, who is not directly eligible for this program? So who is ineligible? Recipients of the 2025 ARPA Artist Grant are not eligible to receive funding for this program. 501c3 nonprofit organizations, for-profit entities, fiscally sponsored organizations, religious institutions, or religious groups sponsored organizations whose primary purpose is the religious socialization of individuals or whose arts programming exists as part of religious sermons or services, political organizations, private, public, and nonprofit schools, and any type of entity identified as a type of client, of eligible client in this document, i.e. only individual artists who have been practicing since 2019 may apply for this grant program to provide work, and recipients of the most recent 2025 ARPA Artist Grant Award are not eligible to receive funding once again in the second year. Eligible services. Funds are intended to support the delivery of the following activities with tangible outcomes. Examples of artistic services that may be provided by the applicant may include, but are not limited to, consultations, creation of artwork, design of artwork in any medium, mentorship, other types of tangible artistic services, presentations, training. A few other samples to perhaps spark your imagination are animated. You can create animated videos that bring to life the client's mission. You can design curriculum, workbooks, or other collateral. You can direct, perform, or shoot commercials for a client. You may perform at a free public event. You can do photograph of headshots for staff. You may provide creative thinking for strategy and design sessions. You may provide graphic facilitation for a team gathering or any other entity. You may provide voiceovers or voice recording for materials to make them more accessible. You may serve on or on a design team for productions. You may take visual note-taking as the service, etc., etc. So eligible clients, right? Who may receive art services? Your clients may include, but not be limited to, the following types of entities in or outside the arts sector that can make a case for public benefit of the applicant services. Again, your artist peers, businesses, community groups, community or civic partners, entities, partners outside the arts sector, government agencies, LLCs, nonprofit 501c3 organizations, presenting venues or entities, and schools. The only eligible expense for this program are your artist's wages or fees. If you are applying for a project that you are undertaking with the client, it is not anticipated that an artist who is hired, for example, by a theater group, right, to provide set design work, will have to pay rent, for example, right? Because the artist is being hired to provide set design, and so the space would be provided. Um, if you are offering a workshop for any type of entity, we don't anticipate that your client will charge you rent to provide and host your the workshop, because you're being hired by your client to provide to offer a workshop for a group of folks. And so we anticipate that your client will provide a space. So if you have questions about how, if there are other expenses that fall outside artist wages, please reach out with any questions. The program will only pay for your artistic labor via wages or fees. All grantees will be required to submit a final report, and we ask that all funding must be accounted for and accurately documented. Grantees must retain financial records and other supporting documents related to this grant for a period of 4 years from the date the final report is submitted to the Arts Foundation. Grantees must permit the Arts Foundation and our auditors access to their records and financial statements as necessary to ensure compliance with award requirements. If grantee does not use the funds, or if the funds are used for unauthorized, unallowable costs or activities, the grantee must return the funds to the Arts Foundation. So how do you apply to this grant? Well, first, please review the guidelines, which we are doing right now together. Then you must visit the Arts Foundation page. You can access your guidelines. There's also a button where you can apply. Once the review of guidelines, application questions, appendices, and frequently asked questions at the bottom of this document has been done, we ask that you prepare responses to all sections of the application listed in this document. We ask that you actually write out your narrative questions in some type of document that you are then able to save. This can be in Word or in Google Docs, etc., so that you can keep track of your answers as you are drafting them. Then please secure any organizational budget or other tax or legal documents for the most recently completed fiscal year, any financial documentation that you need to provide. Finally, you may go to the Submit Online application. There's a link here to our submittable link. It's also found on our website next to the Guidelines button. I'll walk you through it in a minute. And then please make sure you are referring to the correct listing for this grant program. This is the 2026 Artist Grant. If you don't already have an account with Submittable, you will be asked to create a Submittable account. This is free. And then we ask that you complete the online application form and all the sections listed in this document. Step 9 is to review your application one last time, make sure everything has been entered, and then click Submit Form to submit. You may also save a draft if you are working on it over a few days, and then hit Submit once you're done. Please respect the deadline for this grant, as no late applications will be accepted. Once you submit your complete online application, you will receive an email confirmation that certifying that the application was received. The email will be sent to the email address associated with the submittable account. And that is how most of our communication will be conducted once you submit your application. So please make sure that the email account attached to that submittable account profile is the most updated one. So once you submit your application, who reviews your application? All applications undergo a technical review process. Submission materials are reviewed for eligibility, completeness, and compliance by staff. And then all eligible and complete applications are forwarded to community panelists who then begin to assess and score and comment on your applications based on the published criteria of artistic excellence and artistic merit. Panel recommendations are then submitted to the Arts Foundation Board of Directors for formal approval and authorization. And our evaluation criteria, which we already reviewed, are listed here once again at the bottom of page 10. Assistants, which we talked about a little bit already, are listed on page 11. You may receive, we provide bilingual information webinars, bilingual consultations. There's grant coaching. There's frequently asked questions on Appendix C of this document. Any other questions, please reach out to our staff. And again, that contact is Gabriela Munoz. You may reach me at grants@artsfoundtucson.org, or you may call, or again, you may make a one-on-one 20-minute appointment to discuss anything related to this opportunity. So on page 12 of the grant guidelines, you will see the application questions. We've spelled everything out, but I will actually walk you through the submittable application so that you see what it will look like. There is something important that I do want to underscore is that the Arts Foundation collects basic descriptive information about all applicants and their projects and proposals. The information collected will help the Arts Foundation comply with funder reporting requirements and will be used to develop statistical information about the organizations and projects it funds for all required reporting. Information you provide in the following sections will not be shared with panelists. These are Section 1, eligibility, Section 2, applicant profile, and Section C, disclosure and signature. Only information collected in Sections 3, the narrative, Section 4, the attachment, and Section 5, finances of the submission materials will be shared with panelists to review and score using the evaluation criteria published in this document. So I will take you through the application shortly, but here you see every question has been typed out for you so that you may reference it or work on it prior to actually submitting via Submittable Online. On page 23 of the guidelines, you'll see a full list of unallowable expenses. Overlapping costs are not allowed for this grant program. That is to say, if you're applying for funding to fund a performance, for example, you may not also be paid for the same work, for the same specific work through a different funding source. So that is an overlapping cost. And then additional unallowable expenses are listed here. These are general unallowable expenses. The only allowable expense for this grant program will be artist wages, your own artist wages. If you have any questions about that, again, please reach out. On page 24, you will see a full details of our funder terms and conditions. We ask that you review these on your own in detail. And then if you have any questions, please reach out. And then finally on Appendix C on page 27, you will see the most frequently asked questions. These are all the questions we receive over and over. We've spelled them out for you in case it is fastest and easiest for you to review these rather than waiting for our staff to get back to you. If after reviewing these questions, you still have, there's something that's unclear, please reach out. We are happy to support you and answer that question. But again, most of the questions that surface around this grant program are listed here for you so that you may easily access them right away. One of the questions is going to be, can I apply if I received a 2025 ARPA Artist Grant? The answer is no. Recipients of the 2025 ARPA Artist Grant are not eligible to apply for the 2026 Artist Grant. So again, we've done our best to support you via this FAQ. However, I will now take you to the artsfoundation.org. This is our website. We offer, again, public art calls, requests for qualifications, and we offer other grants for our organizations. If you click on the 2026 Artist Grant page, you'll arrive at this landing page. It provides the overview and the information I just shared. If you click on this guidelines list link, you will then be able to access the same document that we were just reviewing together. So all the information that I've just shared, you may access it once again via the guidelines document. But if you've read the guidelines, everything seems clear, you're ready to apply, right click here. It will open our submittable page. We have several programs that are receiving applications right now. The 2026 Tucson Poet Laureate. You may register for the Arts Directory. All grantees must do this. We encourage you to do it. Here's the 2026 Artist Grants. I'm gonna click on Submit Application. And you will arrive at the submittable page that tells you when this program ends, right? The deadline is March 19th, 2026 at 11:59 p.m. It gives you the general overview that we just discussed about this grant program. And then it will ask your information. So you must confirm your mailing address, the city and town of that address, state, the postal code, zip code, your country, and your phone. Once you have that information, once you check that information, make sure everything is current, save address and continue. And then this will take you, this will start the application. This is your eligibility. So city, and what city is the applicant base? Tucson or Bisbee or Nogales or Douglas or Ajo, wherever it is that you are located, living and working within Southern Arizona. Maybe you live in South. Southern Arizona serving. Does the applicant reside in and work within Southern Arizona? Let's say you live in Flagstaff, so you are going to say no, then unfortunately you are not eligible to apply for this grant program because Flagstaff is not within Southern Arizona, within our service and funding region. So if you click yes, then it'll populate the third question. Artwork history. Has the applicant been a professional working artist since 2019 or before? Please note that current students are not eligible to apply for funding through this program. So I have been an artist. If I click yes, then the fourth question populates. Is the applicant a grantee of the 2025 ARPA Artist Grant? If you are, then you are not eligible to receive funding this year. If you hit no, I did not receive funding last year, then the fifth question populates. Have you received funding in the past from the Arts Foundation? Let's say I received a 2025 START grant last year and I click yes. Then the question that will populate is, have you completed all final reports? If I did not complete my final report, then I'm not eligible to receive funding. If you have a funding report that you've not completed for a grant you've received from the Arts Foundation, please email me so that I may try to support you. You are not eligible to apply for additional funding until you are current in all of your final reporting. But let's say I did actually submit my final report, then it means that I am eligible to apply, and Section 2 will appear. So here you will be asked your artist's legal name. Please note that the legal name will be used to populate a grantee letter of agreement. So please give us your legal name. The information in Section 2 will not be shared with panelists. This is just for our internal administration of this program. If your name is different from your legal name, you may provide that. In number 2, this is the name we will use to when we reach out to you, but we do need that legal name in case your application is recommended to receive funding. Then we will be asked to provide your mailing address, the county in which you reside. If you are formally affiliated with a specific tribal nation, then if you click yes, then we will ask you to please tell us which nation that is. If not, then please say not applicable. If you have a website URL, please provide it. If you have social media handle, please provide that. We also ask that you upload an artist headshot. You may upload up to 3 of those if you have more than one. This will be used for promotional purposes. Again, if you are recommended to receive funding, and also for us to visually more easily identify applications. Your phone number, your email, your client full name. If it is the name of a school, you may provide the name of the specific individual with whom you are working. And then question 10B, the name of the school or school district with which that person is affiliated with, the phone number for your client, the email number for your client, and then question 11 will ask you to please disclose your Arizona State Legislative District. If you don't know what that is, you may click on this link and look it up. Which City of Tucson ward you reside within. You may click this link if you don't know which one that is. Which U.S. federal congressional district you reside within. Again, this is for you, not your client. The arts and culture work history, please enter the year when you began working as a professional artist. Question 16 is, has the applicant worked as a professional artist since 2019? Yes or no? We anticipate you did because you answered yes up in the eligibility questions in the first section. Primary artistic discipline. Select one primary artistic discipline that is most relevant to your arts practice. We recognize that a lot of us work across various artistic disciplines. Please select the one that feels most relevant to you in this moment, as well as to you in relation to the work you are requesting funding for. Question 18 will ask you what artistic services you are seeking funding for. Is it presentation, is it training, design of artwork, creation of artwork, consultation, mentorship, etc., right? There's a long list here. Question 19, community and mission alignment. Please indicate if the applicant, the client, and or the artistic services that you are requesting funding for is explicitly related to a specific cultural community. You may click here, all that apply. Are you providing services for healthcare workers or for persons experiencing homelessness or for victims of domestic violence, formerly incarcerated populations, rural residents. There was a long list here. Again, please select and click all the options that may apply. And then here we're going to ask you about the sectors engaged or serve, right? In relation to your client. Is your client a governmental entity? Is it a local nonprofit organization? This is both an arts nonprofit as well as a nonprofit that may be providing services outside the arts and culture sector. Is it community advocacy? Is it economic development? Is it public health or tourism, historic preservation, culture and heritage, public schools, neighborhood associations, creative placemaking, housing and community development, transportation and mobility, parks and rec, or other? And again, please click all the options that may apply directly. Question 21 asks you to disclose the percent of arts-based work income you receive in a typical year based on your annual income, your current annual income. Which of the following categories best describes your current annual total household income? This includes your entire household. And then if you anticipate that are you providing multilingual services? Please provide an annual estimate of community members that benefit from bilingual or multilingual services and programs. This can be in terms of your own work or in terms of the work that your client undertakes. And again, all of this section is for internal purposes only, will not be shared with panelists. Section 3, this section will be shared with panelists, right? The following section will guide you through the narrative questions and will help the panelists understand the scope of work and plans for the requested funds. Your responses may be provided in Spanish or English. The first question is a funding request synopsis. Please provide in 100 words or less a brief synopsis of your proposed arts project or arts activities, artwork, or artistic work you will providing to your client. For example, to support the ABC project, which will XYZ. List only funded activities that will take place during the grant funding program. So if you've been commissioned by a client and you will be designing the artwork during the funding period, but the artwork will actually be produced after the funding period is over, then only refer to the design of the artwork that will take place during the funding period. And then this takes us to the narrative questions. We've reviewed those questions already, but please answer or number each of the following questions clearly and specifically. You have a maximum of 1,200 words. And then you may copy and paste your narratives here your narrative answers here once you've drafted your responses to these questions, which we have already reviewed. Section 4 is the attachments. Again, this information will definitely be shared with panelists. We ask that you provide work samples. You may upload a maximum of 6 images or only up to 3 minutes of video or audio as work samples. Please don't upload a 20-minute video. Our panelists review a large volume of applications. And so if you upload a video that is 20 minutes long, they will only be asked to review, for example, the first 3 minutes of that video. This is to ensure that all applications are reviewed fairly and receive the same amount of attention. We don't want to ask a panelist to spend 40 minutes reviewing work samples and then spend 3 minutes reviewing another application that adhere to the requirements. So please make sure you're courteous and upload, again, 3 minutes of video or audio or only up to 6 images. The work sample should really give context to your work in relation to the artistic services that you will be providing. So provide work samples that will give panelists a sense of your capacity to undertake the proposal for funding. Question number 2 asks you to describe your work samples. So please provide an image description, include the year and image credit for work samples provided. I would say work samples are probably most effective when they are most recent to your work, to the work you're producing. If you have any questions, please reach out. And then question number 3 in this section is a 1-page resume. Focus on work experiences that directly relates to your proposal. Again, please don't upload a 20-page resume. Panelists will only review the first page. And it would be helpful for you to narrow that down yourself so that panelists know your work experience and your artistic experience that is most relevant to this specific application. The co-sign memorandum of understanding between you, the applicant, and your client. This should be, and this is what's called an MOU, right? The Memorandum of Understanding. It is essentially a contract between you and your client, and it ought to give panelists a sense of all the details of the work that is being promised and will be delivered. So your co-signed memo of understanding must include the following. Here it is. Your name, the applicant, your client's name, the scope of work you're agreeing upon. This is really important. Your scope of work needs to include a project title. You can copy this list into a document that you then flesh out and call the Memorandum of Understanding. Tell us the title of your project. So what is it that you will be hired to provide services for? So for example, it can be the name of a performance if you are providing if you're presenting your artwork. It can also be the name of a convening if you will be providing a workshop during a specific convening. Excuse me. Tell us the parties who will be involved. What is the name of the applicant? What is the name of your client? All of that information should be included in the scope of work. Because again, your client, you may be working with a specific individual, but that client may be affiliated with a hospital or a branch of government or a school or a business, etc. So tell us all of those details. What are the objectives? What is the purpose of the work proposed and its intended impact on the client? If you're redesigning a client's website, tell us what the purpose of that redesign is and what will be its intended impact on the client. If you're providing creative aging workshops for a hospital group, right? Tell us what the purpose of those creative aging workshops are and what is the intended impact on your client. A task list. Basically, this is the list of specific work that will be accomplished. So if you're designing curriculum, right? What does that look like? And what are the things that you will accomplish? Is it presentations? Is it a how-to guide? Is it lesson plans, etc., etc.? What is the project schedule? What is your timeline for the project? And when will the task list be accomplished, right? So reference the materials. Please list specific dates when tasks will be completed Your project schedule should only take place during the funding period. So any work that falls outside that funding period is not eligible to receive funding. Project deliverables. Please tell us or give us a list of specific products, services, or outcomes that will be accomplished by the time the work is completed. What is the adoption plan? In 2 to 3 sentences, describe the plan on how you will implement these work deliverables. And then project management. Give us a brief description of who will be responsible for work activities. This is most often necessary, and detail will be required. Let's say you're working to provide a set design. If your work intersects with the work of other professionals, this is the place for you to explain to panelists, right? Why your task list it looks a certain way or includes certain work, why your timeline might be divided into 2 or 3 different time frames of the year. Essentially, this is the place for you to explain to panelists anything they might have a question around your scope of work. Your hourly rate. This is so important. Your hourly rate and the number of hours you will work must equal the total amount of funding you are requested. You may request up to $10,000. If you are not charging by hour, but you have a rate of cost for services, for example, you're not going to bill the design, the website design is not going to be billed by hour, but will be billed as a whole project, then give us a sense for how you are ascertaining the full cost of that work. Please make sure you pay yourself well above minimum wage. Artists provide essential but also specialized labor, and that is not minimum wage. So if you have any questions around what your hourly rate ought to be, please reach out or sign up for one of our webinars where we address the details requested in section in part of section 4 and part of section 5, the finances and the memorandum of understanding. What are the term dates for this work? So when are you officially starting work for your client? And when are you agreeing that the work will be completed? And then what are your billing date or dates? I think for most of you, it will likely be a one payment situation when all the work is completed. Give us that date. If you have questions, please reach out. And then what is a project budget? If there are other expenses or income related to the work you'll be doing that expand beyond your artist's wages, then please include those additional expenses. Again, we don't anticipate that you will be paying your client for things like rental space or for materials or things of that nature. You really are meant to be an expert artist providing artistic services for your client. But if there are other sources of revenue that are covering some of those other expenses related to a project that you've been hired as an artist to support, then please tell us what that revenue and what that additional income will be. And an example of that is the 2026 Artist Grant will cover the cost of the artist fee to deliver services. And then you can tell us which expenses are then covered by the client in relation to your proposal. And that takes us to section 5, the finance disclosure. So this information, again, will be shared by panelists, I'm sorry. The first one is, we ask you to tell us the award amount you are requesting. You may request up to $10,000. If you are being hired to provide services up to $2,500, $5,000 or $10,000, we ask that you indicate that at this time. We ask that you provide the budget details, right? What is the scope of work that you will engage? I'll give you a hint. This answer, we ask you to prepare it right here in your memorandum of understanding. So please answer all of these questions, and then you may copy and paste here, or you may restate it here if additional information is needed to clarify the scope of work. There shouldn't, but if there is, please make sure to add it here and provide the full scope of work that you will engage. Budget details, please again tell us your hourly rate or rate of cost for services. Budget details, the terms of dates when work will start and be completed. Budget details, what is that billing date or dates? Again, all of these questions, we ask that you include them in the memorandum of understanding. We need them again here for tracking purposes. What are your client contributions? If applicable, please describe how the client will support this collaboration or this work. This can include in-kind or cash support. And then section 6, disclosure and signature. This information is not shared with panelists. It is for internal tracking purposes only. The first disclosure is a non-discrimination clause. We ask that you disclose and certify that you, as an applicant, do not discriminate based in your employment practices, volunteer opportunities, or delivery of programs and services on the basis of race, religion, gender, or gender identity, including gender nonconformity and status as a transgender individual, gender expression, sexual orientation, age, ancestry, citizenship, ethnicity, familial status, socioeconomic status, economic circumstances, color, creed, sex, including pregnancy, basis of parenthood, national origin, marital status, veteran status, past, current, or prospective service in the armed forces, genetic information, physical characteristics or appearance, mental or physical disability, or any other status prohibited by applicable law. We ask you to certify that you read through our funder terms and conditions. These are found in Appendix B of our grant guidelines. So you can click here and it takes you to our Appendix B. Make sure you read those before clicking that you certified that you've read them. Then there is a media release. You agree that the Arts Foundation and its assigns and designees may use any media or artwork samples uploaded in this application to educate and inform the public about the Arts Foundation's programs or to promote awareness of the Arts Foundation. You recognize that any educational materials containing media may be distributed or broadcast globally. You release the Arts Foundation and its designees from all claims and demands arising out of or in connection with the use of the media, and you certify that you have all the rights necessary to agree to these terms. You click this. If you have any questions in relation to any of these certifications you're making, please reach out before submitting your application or immediately after, but preferably before. Question number 4, we ask you how you found out about this grant. Let us know so that we may continue to invest in marketing in that media. And then question number 5 is, we ask that you disclose if there are any Arts Foundation opportunities you are interested in, such as being featured interview in our newsletter or being a color palette of the month feature. If you want to be part of our past grantee success stories, or if there is nothing, then let us know and we won't bug you. Question number 6 is the self-certification of good standing. We ask that you certify that you are not disbarred, suspended, or have any other exclusions or disqualifications that would prevent you from receiving funding from the federal government. And then we ask once again your legal contact information. And finally, question number 8 is an acknowledgement. As an authorized signer, we ask that you check the box right here, acknowledging that you have read the application and that you approve its submission and you verify that the information submitted above is true, that you have the authority to submit the application on or on behalf of all named partners. Click here. You may save a draft of your application, or if you are done and everything is complete, you may submit your application. Once you do, you will again receive a confirmation email and your application will be complete and we'll be in touch with you. Please note that we are unable to disclose any information during panel proceedings. So we cannot reveal any of that information until final notifications are sent out to everybody. If anything is amiss with your application, we will reach out to you during that technical internal staff review prior to applications being sent to panelists. We very much look forward to receiving your applications. If you have any questions, please reach out and we will now start our Q&A. Thank you so much for joining and have a wonderful day.